Welcome to the Media Genius Podcast presents The Deep End. Today's episode, Underwater. Welcome back to the Media Genius Podcast presents The Deep End. We addressed the elephant in the room, the hiatus. We were, under the impression this was going to be a memory by now.
Yeah.
I know I had trouble adjusting to the new norm, just as everybody else is, and making consistent content is a part of that for me, and I think I'm finally getting there. I'm glad to be back. Dan?
Yeah, I'm glad to be back too. I'm really excited to finally start actually delving and diving into some of the stuff that we had plans for, and we've reformatted the show just a little bit. I'm just excited to get back to any and all creative things.
As the quick reintroduction, I'm Shawn. I'm a writer and content producer, and this is Dan.
I'm Dan. I'm glad to be back. Like I said, I'm a musician. I like to watch movies. I'm a sci-fi nerd. That's about it.
So, one last thing. So, The Deep End, we talked about that we reformatted. Originally, we were a long show that looked at movie franchises. The first two-part episode for the Alien franchise is pretty great, but we decided everyone would be better served by us diving deeply into a single film at a time more regularly, and occasionally diving into a whole franchise. So without changing the logo and never referring to it in this manner again, welcome to the 2.0 version of The Deep End. Today we're looking at 2020's Underwater. If you don't want spoilers, it's time to get out of the pool. So Underwater is a film the director admits is inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft. Stars Kristen Stewart. It pays homage to classic horror films from Alien to Cloverfield. Cloverfield does count as classic now. These homages, combined with great performances and tight writing, create a movie with atmosphere, along with its special effects. Something that seems to be less true of big theater releases recently. With a worldwide gross of just less than half its production budget and a mixed critical reviews, there isn't a guarantee of a sequel. But the movie's popularity on streaming services leaves fans some hope for a direct-to-streaming sequel. The film is the final release for the 20th Century Fox brand before Disney rebranded it as the 20th Century Studios, which does add hopes to Disney. Add hopes to the fact that Disney leans into some mature content in its sub-studios, so the IP could be resurrected. Basically, Disney owns everything. Disney needs to market some stuff towards adults. This would be great.
Yeah. So just a quick little intro on what the movie is for those of you who haven't had a chance to see it. Definitely, it's worth seeing. You definitely want to get out there and see it. So a crew of researchers working for a deep drilling company scramble for their safety after the facility, the Kepler, becomes compromised due to an unknown source. Under threats of deep pressure, darkness, dangerous creatures, and a lack of oxygen, is there possibly any hope for the crew's survival as they try to make it from underwater to the surface? And let's remember, there are places nobody can hear you scream. Space, the bottom of the ocean, it's all the same.
I wanted to have a your mom joke there, but I couldn't find one that was totally appropriate. For all the mixed reviews Underwater received, there is something to be said about the impressive ability of this film to portray underwater scenes that they filmed basically in an abandoned big box hardware store. Just as filming day for night was accomplished at a high technical level in Mad Max Fury Road, Underwater has some of the most believable drive for wet filming ever done. James Cameron might keep building gigantic underwater sets, but this film proves that there are low-tech solutions to filming in exotic environments. I hate to give Disney additional props and additional shout-outs. There's one really interesting thing that them and Industrial Light and Magic are doing, but combining this sort of technique for shooting dry for wet with the volume, the special stage they use to shoot The Mandalorian, we have a paradigm shift in the ability to shoot exotic locations with ease. Dan, you can feel free to say awesome things about the volume in The Mandalorian now. This chance.
Well, I like hopefully everyone else have seen The Mandalorian, but for those who haven't, and for those who also have not watched Gallery, which is the Disney Plus making of The Mandalorian TV show, the first season follows along with the first season of The Mando, and the second release in Gallery is just like a 1.5 hour documentary that just delves into the special things they did for season 2. They've built multiple volumes. Disney is working with expanding that technology, and I know great other YouTube channels like Corridor Crew were in the middle of making their own at one point. And basically, the idea is that you render this world inside an engine, and in the case of The Mandalorian, they render this engine inside, I'm pretty sure it's Unity, like the gaming engine. Unreal, excuse me, yes. Unreal. But either way, it's a gaming engine, and they're able to get real light reactions on their set pieces according to the world they've built in Unreal. They can get these composed shots with them, the character in the front, and then have like this wide space in the back, and then they can very seamlessly, edit the actual people they've shot into the composed world, as opposed to before. With earlier Star Wars, it was just, you got your green screen or your blue screen and your actor standing in front of it, and they're kind of acting against nothing. Now, Disney and Star Wars, again, taking the next step and being able to act against the volume is just a whole other level of ability there.
Yeah, so the Corridor Crew guys are supposedly going to be unveiling like a build-it-yourself-at-home studio version. And last week, Sony announced that they're going to start releasing like big panel versions of it that you can just buy. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, cool. We digressed a little bit.
Of course. I mean,
I want to build a volume in my garage. Yeah. Okay, maybe not my garage. I think I want to get a 20 by 20 shed and just build a volume. Oh, I've been waiting for the Corridor Crew guys to have theirs ready because next step.
Yes.
Anyway, back to Underwater. As we talked about before, this movie plays a lot of homage to other horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, in particular, paid a bunch of attention to this. I was paying a lot more attention to the nerd creation of story aspects. Dan, you want to throw some homage at us? Like what might people either have missed or should look out for?
Okay, so right off the bat, you can catch, and so there are going to be a lot of homages directly to Alien and the Alien franchise. So I might as well just start with that, obviously. But at the very beginning, the title card opening for Underwater, the title itself at the bottom of the screen reveals itself. Although quicker, it reveals itself faster than Alien. It reveals itself in the same fashion, showing you individual lines of each letter as they come in, fading in. And that's something that Alien started with. I'm sure other movies have done as well, but it's something I tuned into immediately. Right off the bat, there's an homage directly to Alien in their openings.
To interrupt here for a moment on that feels like a James Cameron thing at this point, because I think the Terminator movies also do that, and I think Avatar does. And Titanic doesn't, but Titanic did get crapped on by Neil deGrasse Tyson, so that was cool. They ended up altering the sky. He's like, did you know the sky in the background isn't right? And James Cameron's like, oh, we can fix that.
Oh, this is another cool one. I pulled this, to be fair, I pulled this one right off of IMDb, but when the crew first assemble in their central control room, the boot up sequence on their sampled old hard drives is literally the sound of the computer startup. Although it's much lower in the mix, it is the exact sound. So you can hear the little computer startup sound from Alien.
Is that the same sound pull that's from Blade Runner 2, or is that from a later Alien movie?
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not as well versed with Blade Runner. Blade Runner used to be one of those movies where like I was a bad sci-fi nerd for not having seen it. That's been remedied, but I'm still it's still not. I'm not the most knowledgeable on it.
you did come see Blade Runner 2049 in the theater with me, and I have to say, that was mind-blowingly good looking in the theater.
So good.
Like, I miss theater movies.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of those. And Underwater honestly would have been one of those theater movies too. I think just with the way that it constructs its environment under the water in total darkness, and then being in a wide open movie theater with like the bass rumbling in your ears, like that's got to be peak for this movie. Unfortunately, this is not one of those things that I got to see in the theater, but it's amazing.
The mixed critical reviews on this. The mixed critical reviews on this movie really kept me from seeing it during its initial theater run. I have found that I want to spend money at the movie theater on stuff that needs a big screen, and they did not convey well enough that this would have been so good on a huge screen, and stuff that I know is just going to be good. So, like, no judging. I like to go see the Fast and the Furious movies at the theater because those are big screen movies. Like, you want the biggest screen possible for Vin Diesel, the Elba family. Car chases and stuff.
Car chases and stuff.
Yeah, yes, that's that movie. Car chases and stuff. Sometimes The Rock.
Sometimes The Rock. Another app description.
They're gonna go into space. They're gonna go into space.
They are. It's the next step for them. And then they're gonna run into the xenomorphs after that. So.
Oh great! Oh, Circle of Life.
Oh yeah. Okay. That'll be good.
Homages.
Yes,
anyway,
homages. So there are a lot, and I'm sure we'll circle back to a bunch of them. But some of the other really good ones. It has a very specific nest scene, just like some of the other Alien movies, where the main character happens to venture into or purposely ventures through the nest. So a lot of that invokes the same feeling that I have when I watch Alien and Aliens. I hate to say it, but the return of the final sequence in the main character's underwear. running for their survival or fighting for their survival in their undies yet again. It may be a trope at some point. It definitely is a trope, but it did happen in Alien and it does happen in Underwater, so it's an homage as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, has it left homage and become trope? Because I feel like we also get it in The Fifth Element, and we get it. Okay, Mila Jovovich, like, Luke Besson wants her naked on camera all the time. And then so does Paul W.S. Anderson. And then it turns out she, at some point, was married to both of them. It's a very strange thing.
Well, I think it could probably be both. It could be both. It is both. Something I thought was just a little ironic is, so our main character kind of is a chest burster. When you watch the movie, there's a this is cool. Oh yeah, there's a sequence in which our main character, who's played by Kristen Stewart, whose name is evading me currently, she's fantastic in this movie. We'll circle back to her performance, but she gets basically swallowed whole. Like the miniature creature unhinges its huge Cthulhu mouth, swallows her whole in her suit, and then she shoots her flare gun through the chest and then like just crawls out of the chest of the thing. I was like, this is a perfect reverse chest burster moment. So that may just be me thinking, oh, that's an Alien thing, but I thought it was funny and awesome. But I would definitely qualify that as one. And then I do have one more special one. Sean, do we want to save the soundtrack nerding for the last one, or are we?
Oh yeah, let's save the soundtrack nerding for after, because I think we should explore the performances first before we go into more of the storytelling elements.
For sure.
Because we brought up Kristen Stewart, who, I'm going to go out on a limb and say something that might seem controversial. She's fantastic in everything except Twilight.
It's true.
And because Twilight is, I don't want to offend anyone, but
pop culture,
perhaps not the most well-written piece of fiction ever to be on screen. Yes, that is polite.
That's the polite way of saying it. But like to back up what we're saying here, I have seen every Twilight movie in the theater. So I can only say they're so bad, Sean.
So bad. There we go. There we go.
We'll edit here.
Clappies. Oh no. I think my slow clapping should just be a GIF that we make for just reasons. Or just yeah. that said, it does have Anna Kendrick in it, and Anna Kendrick is basically wonderful. So
you mean Twilight? Not did I miss Anna Kendrick?
Oh, Twilight, yes.
Oh
no! If you missed Anna Kendrick in Underwater, I'd be like, Dan, are you watching these movies at all?
yeah.
But no, I have to say, Kristen Stewart, fantastic in everything. I can't. Speaking of Anna Kendrick, I can't recommend enough a movie called American Ultra with Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg that takes place in the same universe as an Anna Kendrick movie called Mr. Nobody. So, FYI, those are great.
Where are we moving now to? Claustrophobia? That's a big part of this movie, and I'm sure it's a large part of every horror suspense movie.
So the storytelling nerd in me wants to really hit claustrophobia. I think claustrophobia is a great storytelling mechanism. We have like the Cask of Amontillado. We have, the Cube movies, which as much as they were kind of crappy, like the fact that they're kind of all in that single room, you have that like Hitchcockian single room sort of building intensity.
Like Saw.
And Saw as well.
Not Saw 2, Saw also.
Saw also, because Saw 2 is they're in a weird house, but the keys were there the whole time.
Yeah, dramatically not as good.
But claustrophobia is just such a great way to get across helplessness, because we're all just so used to being able to get up and leave.
Mm-hmm.
It has that sort of like calls back to like if you were bullied as a kid or just like trapped by mean teachers. Like when you can't leave, things get real fast. The
internal design of both the underwater vessels and the marine station, substation, whatever you want to call it, the outsides give you that like direct, like it's this big hulking thing, and within these walls you are safe, but outside of these walls you don't know what's there, and that's, I think they invoke that fear of what is outside, and when it comes inside, like what do you do? And they tackle that feeling the same way I think Alien does. They in Alien, they get a signal, they go out and check it out, and they end up bringing this thing in. In Underwater, it's a little different. Obviously, they go down to the bottom of the ocean, and they experience the anomaly that like wrecks their ship, and then they start experiencing more and more things coming into where they are, or kind of just ruining what is keeping them safe. And at the bottom of the ocean, I think is one of the scariest things for me. I'm personally terrified of all things underwater, probably even just a little bit more than the things that could be in space. So the idea of this immense pressure weighing down on you constantly, like your ability to get free of it is non-existent in a lot of cases in this movie, and I think it really adds to the intensity of what the characters are feeling. I think claustrophobia is used in this movie in specific scenes more than it is used in Alien, but I think Alien may still just be a tiny bit more effective with how they use it. I don't know if I could pull specific examples, but both movies use this to it's greater effect.
Alien might be more effective in its use, but claustrophobia permeates every moment of Underwater. Mm-hmm. Whereas there are parts of Alien where, like, yeah, you're in a ship, but you could be in an office building, you could be anywhere. Mm-hmm. In Underwater, you are, dare I say, underwater.
Yeah. It's true, yeah.
Now, this leads to the other big piece of homage we left out, is that this movie is, as we said earlier, admittedly by the director, just Lovecraftian in nature. It has some of the bigger Lovecraft tropes, and it misses one of the big ones. So let's go through the ones it has first. Eldritch horrors, the big, unknowable, huge horrors, which we'll come back to, because it starts the movie, and throughout the movie, we get exposition dumps by news and letters.
It's true.
Character development by written note or found scrawlings is such a Lovecraftian trope that like almost all of the side characters and some of the main characters that he writes are just letters. Or, and then we went to a library and we read a special book. Ha 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 ha. It's just a thing he does. The Eldritch Horrors. This movie does something that breaks with the Lovecraftian tradition. Every Lovecraft story has the following thing happen. Horror builds. Madness builds. Horror is at a crescendo. Are you insane, dear reader? Crappy ending. The ending of this is not crappy. I think the 1920s weren't ready for good endings. Like, things need to be relatively wrapped up. Like, this is a better ending.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe calling a 1920s ending or early 1900s ending crappy is like ignoring the context that like we were in a post-Gothic period. Like, this has a real ending. Instead of just not an ending.
I mean, the exposition dump at the beginning of the movie, because they do it again at the end of the movie, but I think there are some key things to pull out of the exposition dump that directly relate it to Alien in terms of being an homage. And it's that in the beginning, we get news articles and maps and like radio transmissions, or like the general just like throw up of news being expositional, and
ding, exposition.
Yeah, exactly,
as another channel talks about.
Yeah, I think that's CinemaSins, right? Yeah, we watch.
Yeah, it's definitely a sin.
It is a sin. In fact, they may have counted it as 3 separate sins, but I think the key thing to take away is when they do show those, they show that the company, not just generally, the company knows about these issues that are happening at the bottom of the ocean. There are noises and upset drill sites, and the company knows about these things. But these people,
a trope unto it.
Oh no, go ahead.
A trope unto itself in some sci-fi and horror is the idea that capitalism is an eldritch horror because corporations are huge and have just impierceable details and don't care about you.
Yes, they don't.
This is possibly true in real life to an extent. I don't necessarily think that there's a lot of corporations, checks my notes, trying to battle Cthulhu monsters for fun and profit, but it wouldn't surprise me, maybe, just a smidge. Moving on.
But so the main thing that I wanted to point out, though, is that at the end of the movie, the main company, Pontus Endeavors Corporation, these people act very similarly to how Weyland-Yutani acts in the first movie. They're worried about their interests. They're worried about what it means for their interests, and they're not worried about the people they put in danger. And that ends up being one of the main conflicts in the Alien movie, where the synthetic person there fights for the interest of the company over the lives of the people. And it's just that is represented by the android in Aliens, but the ultimate representation of that in this movie is just that these people are still down there at the bottom of the ocean drilling for profit, when it's known that there's stuff down there. So I do think the greater overarching enemies in each of these movies isn't actually the creature. It's the corporation that puts the people in these positions.
Another thing to point out in this same vein is that using these criteria, the least evil corporation in basically all of cinema is Monsters, Inc., which is literally populated by monsters. Just a weird parallel to worlds.
Well, I mean, you got to think, though, by the end, they do the same thing, though, right? It has to be its own trope, where the company is the bad guy. Because Spider Dude there, whose name I'm just bad with names. We're gonna go with Spider Dude.
So Spider Dude and let's go with Invisible Lizard.
Yes, yes. Randall, I know that one. But I think the line though, The line I'm trying to pull from Mr. Water News. There it is. We got it. So that's the spider guy. So Mr. Water News gets tricked into, like having a video recorded of him saying like he'll let 100 or thousands of children die to keep his company alive or whatever. And that's just the case in every horror movie, I guess. I mean, at least in these two.
I was going to say that the company populated by actual monsters.
Oh, you're cutting in and out. Could you say that again, Sean?
That the company actually populated by monsters who wants to scare children into powering their cities is less evil than Weyland-Yutani.
Yes. Actually less evil. Consistently less evil.
Yeah. Consistently less evil. All we do is scare children. We're not actually leading people to an eldritch horror.
Yeah.
I sat up a little bit. Hopefully this helps.
I think it will. So where are we in our notes? So we talked about.
I believe we are at the part where you want to nerd about music, and I want to talk about Shepard Tones.
Either way, if you'd like to listen to these for yourselves, you can check them out on YouTube. They're on YouTube for free. So the first sample we're going to be listening to
links. We should put the links in the description.
Okay, we'll be sure to do that. But the first clip we're listening to is the main title theme from the Alien movie. And so what we're listening for here is a few different things. So those of you familiar with music know of time signatures. A very popular time signature for horror movies, I think, is 3/4, and what it's doing is it's using this 3-note phrase to kind of tell you, like you have an idea where the first note goes. It's a very specific interval. It goes to that second note. It comes back to the third note and resolves there, where your brain is kind of tricked into thinking, 4/4, it would go back to the next note and resolve, but it stays there. And so that's something that you can. Hey everybody, so unfortunately Twitch muted our audio when I started to show the samples of the two songs that we wanted to compare. If you'd like to find them, you can find them on YouTube, searching Remastered Alien Original 1979 Soundtrack, and the first piece we look at there is the main title. The second piece, The Bends, it's the Underwater OST, so you can just search Underwater Soundtrack and it's The Bends. Links to both pieces can be found in the description of the podcast or in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. Be able to hear it. I think that's enough of a sample, but you get the idea. So one end of it is rising, the other end of it is kind of sinking, and it gives you a very confused feeling. And both compositions utilize that, especially the underwater composition. They really play that up with the heavy synths.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost the sound you hear in your head when you're underwater.
It is. It's kind of like a pressure on your eardrums kind of feeling. I think we use this time now to show some of our images that we have selected. Maybe talking just a little bit about it's H.R. Geiger and alien design. And if we just look at this first one, so this in Underwater, this is the first creature they're physically encountering. They pull it into their ship, obviously they throw it on the table, and the first thing my mind points to is the chest burster, but obviously like you can see like just it's creepy, it's ugly, it's not something you're used to seeing. Obviously anything at the bottom of the ocean is looking pretty gnarly, just based off of like real life animals and fish at the bottom of the ocean, but it definitely invokes more of an alien feeling, not Alien the movie, but like an outsider, not normal feeling than like a standard ugly anglerfish might. So that's something.
An H.R. Geiger or Neville Page designed. So I'm with you.
So this next one, I just wanted to put the chest burster side by side, give you a little context for why I thought that. They look very similar. We couldn't find any images of just the chest burster from the movies, so it's just a picture of like a statue chest burster, but that exists.
Yeah, isn't it weird that it was hard to find good stills from that particular part of that movie?
You'd think. I think there's really only one usable still with the chest burster, and it's the one where like it opens its mouth and then slithers off, because everything else is just him, like sprawling out on the table and flailing and dying. So I do get that.
Yeah,
I think there'd be more. It's such an iconic thing, but you can see pretty plainly what I was thinking, at least in terms of similarness.
Yeah, murder shrimp. Yeah,
yes, murder shrimp.
I'm going to say it as many times as I can.
Murder shrimp, murder shrimp, murder shrimp. So this next one I pulled, I think this is a concept art piece about the movie. I don't think this is like an actual still from the movie, but this is one of the creatures that swallows our main character there. She goes all the way in and then comes right out as a chest burster. So I thought that'd be a fun little peek.
Yeah. Apparently they designed and redesigned this thing like 3 times to get it exactly the way they wanted.
That's good, because there isn't, and we've talked about it, but there's nothing worse than a reveal and the real reveal showing you something you're not satisfied with. So like the big
lame ending reveal, yes.
The big reveal with Alien Resurrection with the child thing, and Sean's gonna have an aneurysm just having me talk about it, and it's fine.
But speaking of Neville Page, that was a great monster from a different movie.
Yes.
That was not from that universe.
It's like Pumpkinhead or something, right?
Yeah, like that Pumpkinhead, or if that was a Cloverfield creature, that would have been awesome, bringing that around.
Oh, another fun Cloverfield creature note. So like, and you'll have to correct me on this, Sean, but I don't know of any monsters before Cloverfield that had little monsters on it that would shed. And in this movie, you can see that as well. Like these little dudes hang out on our head honcho big dude in a couple of different shots. And I thought that was like a nod to Cloverfield.
I'm going to deep nerd for a moment.
Oh, we should.
Those things to me always feel like they're a nod to the third Dark Tower book. In that, as they're riding the monorail, as they're describing the creatures outside, Stephen King describes some of the creatures as having the weird creature lice that live on them. And it's just so weirdly evocative that, like, I don't remember seeing it anywhere else or reading it anywhere else. And now I'm seeing it happen in horror movies occasionally. And it just feels like that's that concept, like, to a T. Just, woo. There's something gross about it to me. Like, it's visceral. It's pretty cool.
Well, I would say that if anyone out there listening or viewing has heard of or seen an earlier version of what we're talking about with the big creature with the little creatures on it, shedding it, if you've seen a version of that, read a version of that, let us know in the comments or message us. I'm interested, So let's just take a peek at our next image. So this is... it's a low-res image, but this is an image of the face of our Cthulhu. Is it Cthulhu? Is it not? It's inspired by, obviously. It has a very heavy feeling of it probably is Cthulhu, or this world's version of it. But he's a mean-looking dude. These creatures have the mouth that opens too far thing. That's always a freaky thing for me in horror movies, where people specifically unhinge their mouths or like do the thing that freaks me out. And so any creatures that also do that.
Have you seen Legion?
I have seen Legion. It freaked me out.
Yes,
they all freak me out. Every example of that. Every example of that you can think of. Like, I saw The Ring on TV once by accident. I didn't know it was The Ring. It was right at the very beginning. They opened the closet door, and, like, some girl is in the closet, and her mouth's, like, 10 feet open. Like, thank you, no thank you. I'll skip.
Yeah, wait. I think that was Amber Tamblyn. I think she was Alex Mack on Nickelodeon as well.
Oh, great.
She's married to David Cross, apparently.
How do you know these things, Sean?
This is why it's the deep end.
Yes. But anyway, it's got the big wide open mouth, and the earlier creatures are doing it too, where it's kind of like unhinging or like way wide opening its jaw to swallow things, like kind of snake-like. And then we have we're having trouble. Last but not least, we just have another example of Cthulhu, and so this image is not our image. This image is from Smite, the video game. We took it. And we're giving credit to Smite, the video game. This is a non-paid ad.
Oh yes, there we go.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? I enjoyed Smite. Like, it wasn't. It's too technical and fast moving for me. But like, that's because I'm lame. It's a fun game.
Maybe I'll go check it out now. Their Cthulhu design is top notch, and I think maybe just the last Cthulhu design we point at for now. This is my favorite band ever. Well, maybe one of the top favorite bands ever. But Revocation, these guys rock. They have a whole album dedicated to the outer ones, the old ones, the ancient ones. So they're very Cthulhu inspired, and I just really love this design of my man Cthulhu crushing some shit.
Are we reviewing this movie now? Is it time?
I think we might be reviewing this movie. We've gone. Let me just check notes. Note check. Oh, Sean, did you have a favorite line from this movie? I had a favorite line from this movie.
So if I did, it's not going to be anywhere near as good as yours.
My favorite line from this movie: "Thank you, T.J. Miller, for being in this movie. I am very close to shitting myself." That's got to be top line in the whole movie. Like, there are some really good lines, but I'm getting very close to shitting myself. Has to be the realest moment, at least for his character in that whole movie. Oh my god. Oh. T.J. Miller's character, Alien homage. He carries around a stuffed animal, and the stuffed animal has some significance, and they do some Lovecraftian storytelling by telling you about that object after after that character's demise. But essentially, that stuffed animal, who does make it out of the movie, is basically Jonesy the cat from Alien, and you cannot change my mind. There's no middle ground on that one.
When doing research for this particular episode of The Deep End, I read a bunch of articles, and apparently that stuffed animal was supposed to be a stand-in for a live bunny. They were going to put in a live bunny.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like a CGI live bunny. Yes, so everything...
A CG bunny would not have done it. A live bunny I would not have believed.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like the representation of an actual
it would have actually animal. Been,
and then they're just like, actually, this is too hard. Yes, as a bunny.
I do love that it stayed in the movie as the stuffed animal, but I didn't know that. That's pretty great.
It's stuffed animal. Yeah, I guess there's some outtakes or some test footage you can find online of them doing some of the scenes with an actual live bunny.
Really,
and it's a hot mess. So. Yeah. While Dan's typing as loudly as he can, I'm going to review this movie, my personal review. I like this movie. I feel like Kristen Stewart gets a lot of crap for her Twilight performance. But, as we said, that was not the most well-written thing ever. But I feel like Keanu in the first Matrix movie has the same issue, but because Keanu Reeves is just better, it's better. Grows from nothingness, blah, blah, blah. I digress. Underwater has great acting, special effects, and technical prowess put behind a pretty standard and derivative monster movie to the point where it more than stands on its own 2 feet. If you like monster movies or claustrophobic horror, I recommend it. If you like Lovecraftian horror, I recommend it. Basically, if you might like something about this movie, then give it an open-minded shot. Dan?
Yeah. So for me, this movie checks off all the boxes to satisfy any lover of suspenseful horror movies. We talked a lot about the claustrophobic setting. Being at the bottom of the ocean is about as claustrophobic as you can get without being like buried alive. And there are some good movies about that too.
One of them has Ryan Reynolds in it.
Yes, that is the exact movie I'm talking about.
Right?
the movie has a hair-raising score, and it goes well past beyond that first little clip we played for you today. I think the whole score is really dynamic in a way that adds to the intensity of the scenes and the feelings that the characters are experiencing. I think we have a cast of characters you become invested in, and they have real stakes. Again, some of that like Lovecraftian storytelling by telling you after the fact with little, like news clippings or like just like dialogue after it matters, adding significance to character deaths after they happen. I thought that was pretty interesting. I think T.J. Miller might be a personal favorite in this movie, but I think obviously Kristen Stewart steals the show. And the mystery and the unknown enemies and the monsters that push the boundaries of what we thought were considerable, I think is another big part of why people like this type of movie. So if you like the mind expanding, like this, like nobody's down there so nobody can tell me it's not there kind of feeling, like if you like that, this movie is for you. And in addition to some really intense and well choreographed action sequences and great special effects, we talked about, I think anyone who's hoping to get some Praise Cthulhu in should check out this movie. Shoggoths be warned.
That's fun.
Yeah, I try.
I'm gonna go with this being, I'm gonna go with 7.5 feet deep. If this is a thing you think you're going to be into, you're gonna be way into it. But there's going to be a portion of the population who watch this and just go either, I am too creeped out by this, or I don't care. And to those people, at least you gave it a shot.
Yeah. I think for me, it might be just a solid 8. I enjoyed this movie the first time I watched it. I chose to watch it before this podcast with my partner Kelly, just out of interest. I saw the first trailer and it piqued my interest, and coming back to it with a more, analytical lens to watching this movie, taking notes, thinking about things, maybe overthinking some things, I still enjoyed the movie. And I think when you're able to watch a movie for the first time and enjoy it, watch it again and try and take it and, be meticulous and take it apart and still enjoy it, then I think it's a good enough movie for me to recommend. So I would say 8 feet deep in the deep end.
I would also, as an addendum to this, put in, this should be a film school movie. If you're looking at things like shot selection, sure, but the technical prowess in shooting dry for wet at this level is incredible. Like, and the way they did it was cheap. Like, this is like low budget filmmaking 101. This is stuff you could do with your friends at your house. I mean, just shoot with some dry technique. For wet. Oh, well, yes, but it's not like they sat down with a giant render farm and CGI'd it or built, the largest indoor water tank or something. No, they just, hey guys, this weighs a lot and it's going to make you move slow, and we put some strings on you and
make you
whip some dust in the air. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It was like, it was that easy. If you're a film person who makes films, it was one of those things where you're like, oh, it was that easy. Okay. Beyond what most people are going to do, like for their home movie, clearly, but like in terms of making a production, there's some good stuff here to learn from.
Another Media Genius episode in the works. We're going for a monthly schedule, so one a month. And our next episode will follow in the same vein of talking about movies inspired by, but not directly related to Alien, in the Alien franchise. And what was our next movie, Sean?
We hadn't actually decided yet, I think is the thing. Oh, you know what? I think we should just do it. We should just do Event Horizon.